Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Aaron Herman. We're here at the AZM Biannual National Assembly. We're going to meet with leaders to hear more about what they're doing in our community. Let's take a closer look. October 7th changed all of our lives. And as a student in a public school, your life has changed in different ways. And as a leader, you're now seeing different things in the ecosystem. So share a little bit about your story and what you're seeing.
My name is Josh Resnick. I'm a senior from Cherry Hill High School East. Now there's two big parts of change that I've seen in the last 3 years, pre and post October 7th. Now one thing which is amazing is you have a stronger sense of Jewish pride in my school specifically, which I'm very fortunate to have. You have a lot of people who are very prideful of who you are, but at the same time, there's so much stronger opposition. And in a way, this change is kind of leveled out in the sense that people are now stronger, but there's also more hate. Except the big issue with this is the fact that there's more hate at all isn't beneficial. The biggest strong point would be if there's that change and it's only the strength that's coming. But with that strength, a lot of increased hate, increased anti-Semitism is really building. And in my school, I've seen that firsthand with Jewish girls being harassed. I've seen that firsthand with people going up to me and saying "Free Palestine" just because I wear a kippah now. I've seen it firsthand with snide remarks of anti-Semitism, which isn't really seen as really hateful, but just as a joke. And this is all increased. And while there is that stronger Jewish community, it still just isn't enough to combat that horrible anti-Semitism, which I face on a weekly, daily basis.
And you shared with me that you put on a yarmulke in school after October 7th. What was the impetus to do that?
Well, I knew that Israel was being attacked. I knew that I was being attacked. And it seemed like the perfect thing to do to be proud of my Jew. I knew I would face pushback if I had a Star of David or if I had a Jewish flag, an Israeli flag on my chest in school. And I knew a yarmulke was that perfect middle ground where it would both allow me to find my own Jewish identity more if I wanted to become more religious in some sense, which I have since doing so, but it also was that thing where nobody in the school could target me or no administrators could target me and tell me to take it off, because then it's a religious expression. So I went to that yarmulke as I'm going to be prideful. They can't do anything about it. They're going to have to deal with it. And over time, it became a statement, and that's like how it is in my school.
Exactly. Tell us a little about your role as a leader in the in this space, especially in the public school in JSU. Tell us a little bit about how you're as a leader in the JSU, like how this all works.
So at my JSU, I'm the president, and we're very fortunate. We have around 400 students in our 2,200 person school. About 25% of the school is Jewish, so very fortunate that we have a strong Jewish community there. Now, what I do is, one, I help organize events in the school. We have weekly meetings. We got 100 students coming, which is a crazy number to have that many people coming. Still not that 400 that I'm aspiring to be at, but we're getting there one day at a time.
Grassroots, baby, grassroots.
Exactly, grassroots. So that's the big event planning aspect of what I do. And then we have social media posts going out about Judaism, some things about Israel, and then something which I think is the most important is I'm the point of contact with all Jewish students when it comes to administrators. If there's something anti-Semitic going on, people often come to me so that they can either have me talk to administrators for them, on behalf of them, or so that we can bring in somebody else and have a solution. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, a girl was targeted for wearing an IDF sweatshirt, and I found out about this, and the first thing I did, I put on an IDF sweatshirt because I was like, why are they targeting her? I've done this thousands of times. And then he started to work it out through the proper chains of communication.
Amazing. The word Zionism, right? That's something where, especially in schools, is like a trigger for some people.
Yeah.
But then I say, like, you have to own our Zionism, right? Have you experienced anything like, that anti-Zionism, like within the school, or like they use Zionism as like as their weapon?
Yeah, so just before the school year this year, I happened to be in school. I was doing the senior portraits. You all know how it is. And actually, this teacher, a teacher who I didn't have, was in this room with me. Somehow the topic about Israel came up. It was actually the NEA. Look up the NEA and how anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist they are. Their new handbook this year takes out Israel and it puts in Palestine on the map instead. So we were talking about the NEA, and then Zionism came up. and he said Zionism is colonialism. And I just looked at him and I'm like, do you really want to have this conversation right now with someone who is who understands this topic on a much greater level? Just because I've heard him talk, I know what he knows. And it was like a crazy revelation because we had this conversation for a couple of minutes and he was just going on and on about how Zionism is bad and Judaism is all right. And it was just crazy conversation I had. And I never really faced anything like that from a superior so blatantly to my face. And that was a real shock for me to hear someone say that Zionism, which is just the wanting of a Jewish homeland for safety for the Jewish people, is being compared with the likes of just like outright colonialism and imperialism. And it really shocked me.
Wow. I'm truly impressed by your energy and the way that you lead from the front. What do you want to tell your last thoughts of how do you inspire people?
I think I inspire people myself just by being proud of being Jewish. I have a kippah on. I am the only student out of 400 Jewish students who's wearing a kippah. I was one of 3 at some point. Slowly they dropped off, whatever. It's a whole different thing. But I think I inspire pride. I think I am there as someone who they can go to if they're being treated wrongly, and who is understandable and who has dealt with the same experiences they have on a fairly often basis. So I think what I inspire is just that sense of pride.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all your work. Interview with Anna Toledo, JSU Executive Board President. We are living in difficult times, and there's a lot of talks about we're losing the narrative and the PR, but there's actually something deeper happening here. We're losing the minds and hearts of students. They don't know what to do, and you're at the forefront of this. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're seeing in the ecosystem.
Yep. So what you're saying is definitely true, and it's a ginormous problem. The issue really is, one, that the Jewish community, we are marketing ourselves very defensively and in a very bad way. We're basically trying to sort of win back all the brownie points, and we're not showing any of the beautiful parts of Israel. We don't have the arguments as teenagers, the facts of, for example, why is U.S. aid to Israel so important, and what is Israel giving back to the U.S. Why is actually the IDF one of the most humane militaries in the world, and what U.S. officers have to say about that. We as teenagers, and my experience in this is that I have a public speaking background. I'm a lot of the time able to have these sort of more constructive conversations, but I'm having kids come up to me. They've never heard about Zionism. They haven't been equipped with all these tools from the backlashes of October 7th, and all at the beginning they've been sort of just jumped into the front lines of this media war that they were never prepared for, that their parents never told them they would have to deal with, because we thought we're Jews in America. I mean, my parents are immigrants. We immigrated from France and Morocco. We thought we were coming to America, we're not going to have to deal with these problems. And the reality is that as Jews, we move from place to place. We try to escape from place to place, and we have to, wherever we are, like you said, have that intellectual connect. We have to know what we're talking about. And in terms of winning the hearts and the minds, we have to be able to have those intellectual conversations so that we can actually win the hearts, because we are the more moral party. In fact, we are the moral party. And so if we have those arguments to equip ourselves as teenagers, as adults, within America, within the diaspora, I think that's really powerful.
One of the things that, as I speak to students, is that there's a lack of tools, yes. Right? I was speaking with a student who goes to SAR High School in Riverdale, and she said something really powerful to me. She said that I'm getting killed on TikTok, right? I don't know what to do. What's been your experience specifically even on social media?
So I have a sort of more unique experience where I don't actually have TikTok, and I think that that's a humongous blessing, but I do have Instagram, I do have Snapchat, and I see what's going on. I'll tell you that there have been days that I've had to shut off my social media because for me as a teenage girl, it's been too overwhelming. The day that, a lot of the hostages were coming home and I saw some of the negative comments, I broke down. I started crying. I said, I can't look at it, even just to confront some of the hatred that people have. I've been told on social media that people want me to die, that they want my family to die, that they want us to go to hell, or that we're going to go to hell. And, I can go on about, you're a Zio, you baby killer, pig, kike, all of these just terrible words. And again, as a Jew living where I do in South Florida, I wasn't confronted to that before October 7th. And I could say for me, at least I have this a little bit of a knowledge where I can say, okay, you try to respond rationally, but I see some of my friends that have they're very secularized Jews. They've not ever dealt with this. All they do is wear Magen David and they tuck it in. And they don't post when they go to Israel for their cousin's bat mitzvah because, I don't want to cause a scene. So yeah, I can speak from my experience. I've personally suffered because of social media and the threats that have come against me, but also just for other kids my age.
Let's talk about Zionism, right?
Yes.
Now Zionism, exactly, right? So it's funny because there's a lot of organizations that are, over the years have let's take back Zionism, let's take it back. And I always said I'm a proud Zionist, right?
Yeah.
But there's something so much deeper when you say you're a Zionist, right? On social media it's a Zion, Zio, right? And it's they corrupted it in a way. They're trying to corrupt it.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in your own space around Zionism specifically?
Sure. So I have a sticker on my computer, and it says Zionist is not a bad word, and it says Zionist in this really ugly font because you're exactly right. Zionism has been painted, corrupted, as this slang. This it's like you're a Nazi. You're a Zionist. You're a Nazi, and there's no separatism between them. When in fact, of course, Zionism is the revolution that comes from Nazism, and so I don't know exactly how to change that narrative, but I experience it personally. I paint myself as a Zionist, and sometimes I'm talked down to because of it. It's an identity that does have a lot of weight, and it's very controversial. And it's one that not many Jewish students actually label themselves as. I had a best friend that I actually lost because of this issue, and it ended up being because she viewed me as an Islamophobe, and because in her opinion, Zionism and Islamophobia are something that go hand in hand. Zionism and Nazism are something that goes hand in hand, and we as the Jewish community have a moral imperative to really redefine what Zionism is and just explain what it is. Explain that we have, in this room that we're in right now, liberals, conservatives, people of all different viewpoints and sects of Judaism and non-Judaism who adopt this identity of just, we are people from Judea, we deserve self-sovereignty, and we deserve to have a land that we are indigenous to, and just like the people of America who deserve to have portions of the United States today, and they do. We are the people of Judea, and we have a right to self-sovereignty and self-determination because everywhere else we go, we get persecuted. My family is a testament to that. We're Jews from Toledo. We got moved around to Morocco, and now here we're getting persecuted. So yeah.
Right. Well, first of all, thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
And there's a lot more to do.
Yeah.
But having people like you who understand the complexities, articulate it, and then mass scale is what we need. So truly appreciative of all your work.
Thank you so much.
And look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you.
Whenever you kind of think about Israel, some people get excited, some people do things, and sometimes it's complicated, right? So tell us a little bit about yourself, the organization that you're a part of, and how you engage with understanding and sharing Israel with your friends and network.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Amollia Antine. I'm Rosh Bnei Akiva of Potomac, Maryland. So what Bnei Akiva is it's a Zionist movement that really likes to target the younger audience, specifically in America. And then in Israel, it's the same movement, and it targets all K through 12. And back at home, in my freshman year, my 9th grade year, I kick-started it in my neighborhood. And what it is every other week, and we try to have multiple events out of Saturday, but on Saturday, on the Sabbath, we like to have events, and we have kids K through 6th grade, and we do fun activities that are Zionists. So really get it into their minds and really get them to have a love for Zionists. So you ask me, what would I be? Am I complicated? Am I excited? Am I a doer? I'm a doer. I go out. I've been to 4 Zionist conferences throughout the past 3 years of my high school career. I love Israel. I am also excited about it, but I do what I love. I like to spread information. I love talking to people about it. I came up and I met you today. I love it, and that's why I'm on Bnei Akiva, and that's why I love to spread it to the younger generation, even though I'm part of it. I think it's so important.
One of the things that's been complicated, right, is the word Zionism,
Yes.
right? So how do you explain to people to be like a proud Zionist?
I think a really important part of it is not only if you're Jewish. I think in general it's so important to realize how important the state of Israel is for the world even. It's the only democracy in the Middle East, for one. It's also an amazing culturally, socially. It's just an amazing place to be. I love Israel. I love going to Israel. I think Zions and like when people use Zionist as an insult on social media, in person even, it kind of creates a negative stigma around it, which is really sad to see because how big of a Zionist I am. Some of my friends are. Experiencing anti-Semitism through anti-Zionism has been really hard for me the past couple of years because I realized it's so sad that something I love so much is being treated so sadly and has such a bad reputation of it.
What's your final word of like what should people be doing now to make sure to show their proud Zionism?
I honestly think social media is great. You just told me about Emissary, and it's amazing organization, right? And I think that by making things like that, by making apps, by spreading it, by talking about it, just being an open Zionist, by wearing your Magen David or your State of Israel necklace, literally anything that gets more people to see that it's okay to be a Zionist and it's good to be a Zionist is what's important. Do it. Like you said, be a doer. That's so important. Join this app, make a community on it, talk to your friends. It's so important, so everyone should be doing their part to make sure Zionism isn't a negative stigma.
Interview with Rob Deringer, Chief Executive Officer of AEPI. Interview with Mark Wilf. As you can see at the AZM Biannual National Assembly, we met some incredible leaders doing amazing things in our community. This is Aaron Herman. Thanks for watching.